We got a new one today. So I think it's a 44M. I haven't officially checked the serial number, but it looks like that's about right. Got a lot of cool stuff on this tractor still. Tells us a lot of its story. So we got the screen on the front, and it's got picker hubs on it. We've got cultivator mounts up here, and we've got a tongue for backing wagons. And then we've got a New Idea loader frame. So it's had cultivators on it. It's probably had a picker on it. That's what the screen's for. Somebody had that on it instead of the like the M&W Super Snoot. It's got Balin power steering. It's a kerosene tractor. It has the hole for the starting tank. We got a Delco distributor. We got a Christmas tree valve. It's got some newer hoses on it. Looks like somebody was working on it at one point. We've got this piece of fence wire used for hydraulics. And then they've used the belly pump rod. And you can tell by it has this notch in it. They've used the belly pump rod for the valve. I don't think this tractor had this valve on it its whole life. Got an original rim. You can tell by how flat it is through here. This one has a step in it here. This is a newer replacement rim. I think these rims came out in like 55 maybe, or 54 was what somebody was telling me. And we've got, I think this is a Saginaw 3-point. I could be wrong. I need to double check that. But it's set up for 2 cylinders. It only has one on it right now. That's what the 2-way valve is hooked to, is this. It's still, I mean, it's like almost new. It still has the tags on it and stuff. All the warning labels. Tractor has fender extensions and fenders on it. I've got the other fender. To fit on my trailer, we have to always flip one tire in instead of out. My trailer is only 79 inches wide. But I got the other fender in the truck. We've still got our lights. You know, we got our quick attach mount. One thing I noticed is the spring is broken for the seat. It's broke off the bottom coil. When you sit on it, you're real low. So, but the reason I know this tractor is probably a 44 is I looked at the serial number and I can tell kind of anymore. I've been around enough of them. I know what the ballparks are. But this has got the steel shift knob. You can see it's got the IH logo right there, and it's the Circle C, the Circle IH, and then you've got the part number on it. But this thing's pretty. I mean, it's been messed with a lot, but it's really pretty complete still. There's the serial number. You can see we got 77276, and you don't have an X anything. In absence of an X, you usually assume it's either a kerosene or distillate tractor. The reason this tractor was parked is because it had a bad starter. We went up there to pick it up, and I offered, as like, can I throw a starter on it and see if we can get it fired up? It'd be a lot easier to drive it on the trailer than to winch it. So sure enough, we threw a starter on it, filed the points, cleaned a little trash out of the sediment bowl, and she fired right up. Drove up on the trailer. We'll start it up here in a second. The wiring's pretty well toast in it. It's got a ballast resistor, like they were using a 12-volt battery in it, but it still has the 6-volt generator on it. So I don't know if they've rewound the generator or what. We'll get into that at some point. We've got a valve here to turn the loader on and off. That will turn this side of the loader off. And then there's another valve on the other side which turns the other side on and off. And then we have an M&W clutch extension lever here, which is getting hard to find and very expensive. It's kind of hard to read, but it says FBKM, and then you can pretty easily read the 76477. And that's just slightly off from the engine serial, which is what you would expect in this ballpark. They hadn't built a whole ton of power units yet to offset the engine production ahead of the tractor production. By the end, they get farther apart, but usually they're pretty close like this, within a couple hundred. One cool thing is it still has the dust shield under here. She's pretty rotten, but it's still there, and it would be a great piece to make a template out of if you're going to reproduce these. And it's got the factory radiator drain on this side, which usually they're on the other side. We'll have to check our parts book to see when the radiators switch sides, but I was thinking they switched sides before this. I could be wrong.
International used a bunch of different radiators for these tractors, so it's hard to decipher exactly when the drain tube switched sides. The drain tube still hadn't switched sides until after they went to the pressurized radiators, so I'm not 100% sure at which point they switched because there's not a clear serial break on part numbers for radiators.
Got pretty decent graphics on it still. Project Farmall M. And then you can see right here where there was a sticker. Maybe it goes up into there. It's hard to tell. A little bit more of it here. It might have been 2 stickers stacked, but that should be our dealer logo. It says when it was sold new. Typical of most of these tractors that were kerosene originally, it's got a replacement gas manifold on it. The kerosene manifold's cracked pretty often, and then you end up with a gas manifold on them. You can tell because of how the intake is. Kerosene manifold would be more cast up into here. Well, there's a lot of flaky stuff on that one. She'd been on there a long time. Anyway, there'd be more casting up in here to retain heat, and then you'd have a oh my goodness, a sheet metal shield that would cover all of this and come down into here, that would help retain the heat to keep it hot enough to burn the kerosene. I don't know if you can see that, but I'm pretty sure we got a cracked exhaust manifold right there. Sure looks like cracked to me. And I'm trying to figure out, we got some baling wire here. It goes up in there. I don't know if you can see that. It goes up in there. There's like a sheet metal tag hanging on the end of it. And there's a piece over here on this intake runner here too. Not really sure what the deal is here. See if we can get it to come down out of there where we can see it. Piece of plumber's tape type stuff looking. Huh. I don't know what that's about. I guess technically that's an intake runner. That's weird. I don't think I've ever seen an intake runner crack. Something to look at on M's is always to look at the bottom of the rear ends here and look for cracks that have been welded up. The bowl gears, if you have a catastrophic transmission failure, the bowl gears catch the bearings and they'll blow out right in here because there's enough room between the casting and the bowl gears to have a bunch of trash fall in there. They just wedge in there and blow stuff up. We still got our dust shield. Honestly, everything looks pretty dry under here. We're not leaking out of either of the brake housings. Obviously, we're leaking back there. The outer end of both axle tubes is pretty dry. Like I said, this brake housing's not leaking. The brakes were actually locked up on it. We had to take both brake housings off, and there's a couple bolts around that. You just take those off and pop it off there. Clean all the trash out of it, and they loosened up. There's that other valve I was telling you about. It's missing a handle, but to use the 3-point, you would have to shut off both valves going to the loader, and then it would pressurize the valve and you could operate it. To use the loader, though, you would have to push the valve over like this and then flip this little piece in here so it holds the valve in place. But that valve was actually stuck. I just did some light tapping with a hammer and it popped loose, so hopefully it works good. I'm not 100% sure what these are. I think these have to do with the picker, but I would like to know for sure. If anybody knows, let me know. So you can see it does have a generator belt on it, so it looks like somebody was trying to use the generator, but until we pop this hood off, we really don't know what's going on in there. It sure looks like the 6-volt one still, but we'll look at it and see if there's a tag on it. I guess one of the first time I've gotten a complete tractor. So here's the battery box lid, a second front rim, PTO shield. There's a broken hub. There's another hub there. Over there we got 2 separate front ends, both of which are missing a hub. I've got another wheel that came with it, front wheel and tire, and then there's the other fender there. There's the other wheel and tire. Tire looks like it's in really good shape. It's flat, but you know, that's to be expected. We'll air it up, see if it holds air. We got a nice looking paper pulley. We got a bucket full of random hardware. We got new plug wires, a trailer ball, and a coil. And then we got a grill insert. I'm not sure if there's one in the tractor grill right now or not. It's kind of hard to tell with that screen over it. I wanted to film the tractor as is before we started taking stuff apart and working on stuff. But yeah, got all kinds of spare stuff. They had just put this tire and wheel on it. The old tire and wheel had kind of disintegrated. It had completely blown all to smithereens. It was rotted out about 25%, had just disappeared. So the plan with this tractor is just to clean it up a little bit. I think we're gonna take the loader off, put the loader on something else, and get her all up going, functional, rewire it, yada yada, clean it up, get all the moss off of it. Basically the same thing we did to the 40H, and you know, put it to work it a little bit, and then pass it on to somebody else. Probably gonna work on the hydraulics, make it all look a lot prettier. You know, we might put a mag back on it. There's all kinds of things we might do to it.